When I first started researching on this topic, I didn't want to believe what I found. I wanted to believe torture was the work of monsters, serial killers, psychopaths, war criminals, but the truth is darker. Some people, ordinary people, can and do torture others. But here's the part that disturbed me the most. Under the right circumstances, you could do that too. You don't believe me? Stay with me, because by the end of this video, I'll show you two experiments that prove how far normal people like us, can go when the pressure is on. And the answer to this isn't just about them, it's about you. Now let's begin with the people who fantasize about torture but rarely act on it. The fantasizers. These individuals imagine screams, pain, and humiliation, sometimes over and over again. They seek out brutal films, violent online communities, and in the darker corners, even the so-called red rooms of dark web. Now the question is, if they don't act in real life, what separates their brain from ours? Study using MFRI scans reveals some fascinating differences. In normal brains like your and mine, violent thoughts activate regions associated with disgust and empathy. The interior insula, the medial prefrontal cortex, these act like brakes telling us, stop, this is wrong. But in fantasizer's brain, these brakes are weak. Instead, circuit linking the default mode network, the system used for imagination, and the salience network, which determines what feels important, are usually strong. In simple words, their brain light up when imagining cruelty. For them it feels rewarding, almost like a form of entertainment. And yet, the consequences keep them in check. Fear of police, jail, shame. These barriers stop fantasy from becoming action. But think about it. What happens if the barriers are removed? Because experiments show you don't need to be a fantasizer at all. Under pressure, anyone can cross the line. The year is 1961. Psychologist Stanley Milgram set up an experiment at Yale University. Volunteers are told they are part of a study on memory and learning. Their job, deliver an electrical shock to another participant whenever they answer incorrectly. But what they don't know is that the shocks are fake. The other participant is an actor, but the screams, the pounding on the wall, the cries of stop, I can't take it anymore, all feel terrifyingly real. And here's where it gets disturbing. The authority figure, a man in a white lab coat, calmly insists the experiment must continue.
Who said things like,
it's absolutely essential that you continue. Continue, please. Go on.
And it does, shock after shock, even when the actor goes silent, implying unconsciousness or even death. 65% of the participants pressed the switch all the way to the highest setting, 450 volts. They were not the sadists, they were teachers, salesmen, secretaries, fathers, mothers, people like you, people like me, and yet they were willing to torture a stranger simply because someone in authority told them to. Milgram later explained it as the agentic stage. When we obey authority, we stop feeling responsible for our actions. It's no longer I hurt this person. It becomes I was just following orders. Sounds familiar? History is filled with these words. From construction camps to war zones, ordinary people becomes executors when the authority is strong enough. But what if it's not just obedience? What if the environment itself transforms people into monsters? 10 years later, 1971, Philip Zimbardo launches the Stanford Prison Experiment. 24 students, psychologically healthy, were randomly assigned roles, half guards, half prisoners. The basement of university was turned into a mock prison. Uniforms, ID numbers, handcuffs. The illusion was complete, and within days, the transformation began. Guards started asserting power. Prisoners resisted. The guards accelerated, forcing push-ups, stripping prisoners naked, depriving them of sleep, humiliating them in front of others. But what shocked the researchers wasn't just the brutality itself, but how quickly it happened. These weren't the sadists, they were students, future lawyers, doctors, engineers, and yet the role of guard unlocked cruelty inside them. One guard later admitted, I began to enjoy it. I couldn't believe what I was doing. The experiment was supposed to last 2 weeks. It was shut down after 6 days because the abuse Zimbardo called it the Lucifer effect, the idea that normal people can become devils, not because they are born evil, but because the situation makes it possible. And that brings us to the darkest truth of all. The torturer might not look like a monster. The torturer might look like you. So let's put it all together. Fantasizers show us that some brains are wired to enjoy cruelty, but fear of punishment holds them back. Milgram's study shows us that obedience to authority can push ordinary people past their moral limits. Zimbardo prison reveals how the environment and roles can corrupt human soul in days. What does this mean? It means the line between good and evil is not a wall, it's a thin thread, and under pressure, it can snap almost for anyone. And maybe the real question isn't why some people torture, it's maybe why more people don't. Because if you think you are safe from this, history says otherwise. So next time you hear about cruelty in wars, prison, online red rooms, don't rush to say, I could never do that, because the experiment proves otherwise. You could, I could, any of us could. All it takes is pressure, all it takes is authority, and all it takes is situation where the rules disappears. That's the terrifying truth about human nature. Under the wrong conditions, the torturer could be you. If you want to keep exploring these dark truths of human psychology, subscribe, because this is only the beginning. There are much more darker secrets of human mind still waiting to be uncovered.